I want us to imagine something together. Not a hypothetical, a real question. Close your eyes. Imagine our world if everything collapsed tomorrow. No Wi-Fi, no delivery, no safety net, no one to call. Who survives? Is it the person who never had to try? The one whose every difficulty was solved for them? Who never sat with discomfort long enough to learn anything from it? Or is it the person who has built something within themselves that cannot be taken away? Now, I know what some of us are thinking. That's dramatic, nothing is collapsing, people are doing just fine without all of that. And you're right, we can't succeed without discipline. We can buy our way into the rooms, live a very lovely life without discipline. There are people doing exactly that. And they are comfortable, undisciplined, and by every visible metric, successful. So let me ask the real question. Not, can we succeed without discipline? Because clearly, some people really do. The real question is, who are we becoming in the process? And what happens when the comfort runs out? Money can be inherited, a degree can be purchased, but there is only one thing that cannot be faked, transferred, or bought: the ability to face difficulty and not fall apart. The most important skill of our generation has nothing to do with how smart we are. It has everything to do with whether we can govern ourselves. But here's the problem. The ability to govern ourselves is being taken away from us slowly, deliberately, every single day. But first, what do you mean by discipline? Discipline is the ability to act in alignment with what we value, even when our impulses, emotions, and environments are pulling us somewhere else. This definition applies to every single person in this room, regardless of culture, background, or circumstance, because every one of us faces the same daily war between what we want to do and what we should do. To understand how this is being taken away from us, we have to look at what's happening inside our brains. Dopamine is the brain's reward signal, a chemical messenger that fires whenever something good happens. We eat something we love, get a message from someone we care about, or hear a song that hits. Our brain releases dopamine. It says, do it again. It's what kept our ancestors alive, because for most of human history, that signal was earned. We worked, we waited, we got the reward. The dopamine was meaningful because it was rare. Now, Dr. Anna Lembke, a psychiatrist at Stanford University and one of the world's leading experts on addiction, describes what has happened to us in one line. The smartphone is the modern-day hypodermic needle, delivering digital dopamine 24/7 for a wired generation. A hypodermic needle, and she's a clinical addiction specialist. She is saying that the mechanism is the same, the pull is the same, the erosion is the same. And here's what that erosion looks like in real life. When we flood the system repeatedly, it adapts. Our brains raise their threshold. So things that used to feel rewarding, like finishing a book, having a real conversation, or sitting outside, they start feeling flat, insufficient, simply not enough. It's not that those things got worse, but our baselines got hijacked, quietly, gradually, without us even noticing. Lemke calls this the paradox of our generation. We are living in a dopamine deficit state because we are constantly bombarding ourselves with dopamine. We are the most stimulated generation in history. And yet, we are some of the most joyless. Life definitely didn't get harder, but we've overspent our own reward system chasing the next hit. Now here's where it gets precise. Psychologists Dr. Gloria Mark have spent over 20 years tracking how this is affecting our ability to focus. In 2004, her research found that people spend an average of 2.5 minutes on any screen before switching. In 2012, 75 seconds. And in 2020, now we find that people can only pay attention to one screen for an average of 47 seconds. In less than 20 years, our sustained attention has collapsed by more than 70%. And that was for 2020. Imagine us 6 years later. For how long can we actually focus now? And then there's this. Once something pulls our attention away from a task, like a notification, a message, anything, Dr. Mark's research found that it takes an average of 25 minutes to fully return to that task. So every time we check our phone in the middle of studying, we haven't only lost 30 seconds, we've actually lost the entire study session. And the coolest part, the system was designed to make sure that we check it again. Some of us, and I know this because it has happened to me, have felt our phones vibrate when they actually didn't. Our brains became so conditioned to expect the signal that they started producing it on their own. That's not a glitch. That's what a real addiction looks like. So, why don't we just stop? Because of a lie we've all agreed to believe without ever saying it out loud. I'll be disciplined when I feel like it, when I'm motivated, when the conditions are right. But here's what nobody tells us. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings don't come first. They follow action. Discipline is not what you do when you feel ready. It's what you do precisely because you don't. I want to tell you about something I do a few times a year. I go on a full dopamine detox. 7 days, no phone, no device, no laptop, nothing. Day 1 is fine. I'm running on the energy of the decision with lots of motivation. Day 3 is where the real test starts. Motivation disappears, FOMO sets in, and my brain starts bargaining with me. Why are we even doing this? What are we even trying to prove? Who cares? That moment, that exact moment where I want to quit, it is the entire point, because that's when change actually begins. By day 7, something shifts that I can't put fully into words. My mornings stop rushing, I stop consuming everything, and I start to actually experience things. And when I pick up my phone back at the end of the challenge, it feels like I'm ruining something beautiful with my own hands. The detox doesn't fix everything. I still struggle to make my bed in the morning. But that's the entire point. Discipline is not a personality trait you're either born with or not. It's not an all or none state. It's a practice, a series of small choices. And the only question that matters is, are we making them consciously or is someone else making them for us? James Clear, in Atomic Habits, makes an argument that I think is the most important reframe in self-development. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. We spend enormous energy fantasizing about what we want to become. The version of us that studies without being asked, wakes up without an alarm, doesn't need to be motivated. We think about our future self like they're a different person entirely. And we wait for them to arrive. But they're not coming. We become them or we don't, through what we do on an ordinary Tuesday when no one is watching. James Clear also changes the question entirely. He says, stop asking, what do I want to achieve? And start asking, who am I becoming? How many of you have voted before? Like, went through the procedure of voting? Think about it. You walk in, you make one vote, and you walk out. Nobody cheers, nothing changes that day, the news don't report your name, and yet, that's exactly how democracy is built. Not in one big dramatic moment, but by millions of small, invisible acts that accumulate. James Clear borrows that exact logic. He says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. So every time we sit and study when we don't feel like it, we're casting a vote. Every time we put the phone in another room, we're casting a vote. Every time we choose to do the hard thing over the easy thing, we are casting a vote. No single vote changes an election, right? But votes accumulate. and identities backed by evidence are impossible to shake. Disciplined people are better at structuring their lives in a way that does not require heroic willpower. They spend less time in tempting situations. The disciplined person isn't stronger than us, they're smarter about their environment. Phone in another room, notifications are off, the book on the pillow instead of the phone. They don't fight their impulses harder, they design their life so that the impulses barely arise. Discipline as a lifestyle doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look like a transformation movie. It looks like daily, boring, invisible choices that nobody sees and nobody applauds. If we become 1% better every day for a full year, not a revolution nor an overnight transformation, just 1%, and we will become 37.78 times better by the end of the year. And if that's not intelligence, I don't know what is. This year's theme is Intelligence Redefined. So let us redefine it. We've been told that intelligence is a grade, a score, a rank, and I'm not saying those don't matter. Believe me, I know they do. But a score tells us how well we performed on one day. It doesn't tell us who we are becoming. The highest form of intelligence is metacognition, the ability to step back from our own minds, observe what's happening inside them, and choose our response. So every time a notification pulls at us and we let it wait, that is metacognition. Every time we sit with discomfort instead of escaping it into a screen, that is metacognition. Every time we choose to act from our values instead of our moods, that's the most intelligent thing a human being can ever do. It doesn't go viral, it doesn't get likes, but it compounds slowly. And then all at once, it becomes the gap between the person you thought you would be and the person you actually are. Real intelligence is knowing your brain well enough to govern it, not suppress it, govern it. I want us to leave with two things, not motivation and not a quote, two actual tools. The first is for tonight. If you're in my generation, Gen Z, move every social media app into one folder on the last page of your phone. And turn off all notifications except calls and essentials. By doing this, you're adding 1 extra second of friction between you and the reflex. Because as we said, disciplined people don't fight their impulses harder, they design their life so that the impulses barely arise. By doing this, that 1 extra tap is enough to turn an automatic reaction into a conscious choice. Do it before you leave this room. If you're an adult, parent, or a teacher, tonight, identify your numbing agent, the thing you reach for whenever discomfort arrives, whether it's scrolling, news, television, whatever it is, and go 24 hours without it. Not forever, just 24 hours. Because in this day, you will come face to face with what you've been avoiding. And that's where the real work begins. The second is for the rest of your life. Stop relying on willpower. It runs out for all of us. Instead, ask yourself one question. What does my environment make easy for me? If your phone is the first thing you see in the morning, your environment is making distraction easy. If your gym bag is already packed by the door, your environment is making discipline easy. You don't need to be a different person. You need to build a different context for the person you already are. To the parents, adults, and teachers in this room, we know how your entire life is structured around responding to everybody else. Every morning starts with someone else's needs. And somewhere in that, your own self-governance quietly slipped away because you didn't know it needed protection too. So, protect your mornings. The first 30 minutes before any screen, any distraction, any demand, they belong to you. Do one intentional act, whether it's reading, silence, movement, whatever it is, something that puts you in the driver's seat before the world starts pulling. And then remember this, the young people around you are not listening to what you say about discipline. They're watching what you do when you're tired, when it's inconvenient, and when no one is forcing you. Build an environment that makes you someone worth watching. I want us to leave this room knowing that discipline was never about being stronger. It was always about being smarter, about designing your life so that the person that you want to become is the path of least resistance. I started this talk by asking, who survives when everything is taken away? Here's the answer. Not the person who had everything made easy for them, but the person who made something within themselves that cannot be taken away. The ability to sit with discomfort, to act without motivation, to choose discipline over escape. Our lives are not built in big moments. They're built in the small choices we repeat every single day. So the question is not, what do you want to become? The question is, what are you willing to do consistently to become it? Thank you.